Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Love to see all your beautiful faces. Again, it's an amazing Friday or whatever day it is where you where you live. Um, and it's really cold here in Australia. Can I just say that? And yeah. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things, but I really want to go after following up about the absolutes of God and who we are. But I want to talk about the great exchange. And like some of you are aware, I guess, we talk about everything's an offer, and we can choose what we take or who we contract with and who we don't. Right. So this is the awakening. This is the awareness that's been happening for the last 5 years, where people are realizing what they've contracted into and then going, hang on a minute, I don't want to be part of that. As you're all aware with, the pandemic, where they're trying to kind of herd everyone into a certain stream of what they're wanting, and we've gone, nah, we're not playing that game. So I was contemplating this, and I love to sit and ponder, the awesomeness of God, which we've had conversations about that as well. And as I was pondering, how incredible He is, and the great exchange, and I love to reflect on how He has transformed my life, but also other people's lives, and the impact that has, and the ripple effect that it creates. And I've always trying to encourage you guys, don't play down the effect that you are and who you are in your everyday situation and everyday circumstance, every minute of the day, whether it's in prayer, whether it's in, just being, that sense of being where you're connecting with God in the spirit, that contemplation, which is such a beautiful place to sit, and in your everyday doings, like, whatever you're doing, we have a ripple effect. And I was somewhere yesterday, and I was at the shops yesterday. I don't go there very often, but I had to go to the shops. And this lady was really rude to all these workers in the shop, and everyone was talking about it. And she demanded that she would have what she had done for free. And the shopkeeper went, just because she was going to create a scene, he basically went, yep, okay, on your way, right? And anyway, when it came my turn to come and pay at the cash register, and I go, oh, how much? And I said it quite loud. And then I turned around and I said, oh, it's for free. And the whole shop broke up and laughed, right? And everyone smiled, and it shifted the whole atmosphere in the place. And I paid, but it was the follow-on of what had happened. And because that lady's frequency and energy and attitude kind of put this, dampness on the whole shop, like all the girls, everything like that. So when I made that joke, it lifted that and shifted that. Okay, so, and they're all like, oh, they're all waving, and we're all still laughing. And it was an atmosphere shift. Guys, it is that simple to bring change. It really is. And it's just how you carry yourself, and, looking for those opportunities, that you can just flow in that. So I want to talk about this morning, about if I'm bringing scripture for those that like it, that need it, that want it. I get it. It's okay. I base my entire life on scripture, so I don't think that I'm anti-scripture. I just feel that we are coming into a time where we can't keep running and quoting scriptures, because if they're just words, you can't stand in who you are. I hope I clarified that well enough, right? Scripture is important, but I know a lot of people that all they do is quote scripture and it has no power, in the sense that it's just verbal. It's not a conviction of the heart. It's not a know that I know that I know. And that's why I really encourage you to, get hold of who God is for you and the absolutes of God, so that you start to, it starts to get grounded in your spirit and becomes your foundation. And it's like, doesn't matter what anything is thrown at you, you know that God's got your back. So I'm going to, Ephesians 4:8, it says that, God gave us gifts. And the thing is, a lot of us have natural gifting. We are born with natural gifting. There's generational gifts. And guys, if you look back down your generation and you see that there's gifting in your family that isn't, present in this day and time, you need to go in the spirit and see what the blockage is, because each generation should be building on the last generation for the betterment of the family line, not for the decline. I just felt to let that sit in the atmosphere right there, because we accept the decline without realizing what's going on. We just go, oh yeah, that's life. Oh, well, that's how it is. Oh, it's the system. Oh, it's the world. Okay. So I really want to, stir your hearts to start looking a bit more at the things that you are accepting that you shouldn't accept, because they are a decline aspect or influence on your family generation. Every one of us here today, we are here for such a time as this, in the fact that we have an important contribution to bring in our generation, in our lineage. What we carry, what we're laying down is for future generations. and it's never done in vain. Please be assured of that. It is never done in vain, because God will always see how we've been, what's been laid, what's been sown into our family lines, and he will work with that. Okay, so it's fun to look at your ancestral line, because you go, oh, I didn't know that my great uncle was an incredible singer, or a beautiful artist, or a really smart businessman. Often there's generations where they've been very lucrative spiritually, but also financially. But then generations that come after that can often do things that counteract that and stop the flow of those giftings and talents and blessings. And it's important that we look at those things and release those bondages and breakages from our family line, so that we can receive the fullness. Now, I'm just talking our DNA here. I haven't touched into the spirit realm here, but the fullness of what has been, laid out for us individually and family-wise, generational. So I want to go into the spiritual aspect of what has been laid out for us. Because when you combine the two together, This is a force that cannot be reckoned with. It is, again, from that foundation of knowing who God is for you and knowing who you are in God. The two partner together. They bring balance in your life. So let me just diverse there for a minute. When you know who you are in God and who God is for you, there's no room for insecurities. There's no room for fear. There's no room for comparing yourself to other people and all that all the things that come in with that, where jealousy and envy and anger and frustration and all those negative energies and entities can start to bring limitations onto you. Now, God has designed us to tap into his limitlessness. And in other words, all that God is and has is available to us. We've got to come out of this, poverty aspect where we feel that we're living in lack, or we're, living in, from a victim mentality. And this is part of, like last week, I shared to you about the global grief. That's the root. That's going to be what's coming up through the root of that is that people feel like they're victims, because the truth is coming out. We're realizing what we have sat under, and they're feeling like victims. And they go, oh, the system's not fair, and they're angry with everything. But if you stay there, you're going to stay stuck. You have to shift out of that. You have to let that go and start working with what is happening and what God's heart is. And the fact is, we as, a generation, or we as the humanity, is this is a have to process. We have to have our eyes open. We have to have our ears open, our hearts open to the truth, because the truth will set us free. But if you stay in that victim mentality, all that, you are not going to be set free. You are going to stay stuck. And you are not going to benefit from what God is doing on the earth, and how he's raising us up, and how he's drawing us together that are like-hearted. A community is not about like-minded, it's like-hearted. That's what creates a beautiful community, because we will always have mindsets that don't congeal together, because we all come from different backgrounds and aspects. So when we all come as a community from the heart, we're coming from a spiritual plane where we are connecting with God's heart. So when I talk about heart, I'm talking about where we want the good for one another. We want the best for each other. We care for one another. We have empathy for what each other is going through. And, it comes down to a very simple, cause no harm, do no harm, right? And care for one another. So at the moment, we've got parts of this world where they just want to harm everything. The enemy comes, or Lucifer, Satan, negative energy, whatever you want to call it. The one device is to kill, steal, and destroy. So the minute we partner with that, we're on the wrong side. We need to come back to being on the side that we're meant to be. And that is in a place of love, in a place of caring, in a place of, you know, just wanting to lift each other up to be the best that we can be, so that we can change generations, we can change lineage, we can change, you know, the future of our children and our great-grandchildren, etc., etc. So, you know, we can change the community. So let's step out of our own family line for a minute, but the community, we can, you know, bring change to an environment. We can do it frequency, as I explained, that we can bring in a frequency shift or an energy shift just by stepping into that space. So God has given us, and it's like they're ours. They're yours and mine. It's not like, oh, I've got to go, I've got to do, you know, 50 Hail Marys and 20 Our Fathers to beg for these gifts. They are already given to us. They are already there for you to pick up and start using or cultivating them in your life. So, you know, it's a bit of a no-brainer in some aspects, because it's like, okay, here's all these gifts, and we're going, oh God, I really want some gifts. And he's like, I've already given them to you. Oh God, I really want some gifts. Can you give me some gifts? Like, I really want to do this in the spirit. He's like, I've already given it to you. Like, okay, come on, girls. Come on, guys. I've already given it to you. It's, you got to pick it up. You got to decide that you are going to walk with these gifts. Okay? So that it's our inheritance. Like, if I bought my son a car and gave him the car keys and said, here's your brand new car, son, which he actually needs, but here's a brand new car, son. And he goes, oh, thanks, Mum, takes the keys and puts them on the table and never drives the car. He's still trying to drive one that's broken, or it doesn't go very far, or it keeps, you know, breaking down on him. I'd be going, what the heck? I'd be going, son, like, pick up your keys and put them in your new car and go in your new car. And he goes, oh yeah, okay, yep, thanks for that. And he puts them back down again. Now, come on, everybody. Would you not be a tad frustrated with that aspect? Because the solution is already there, but we're not picking it up. So, you know, not that God ever gets frustrated with us. Please don't go, oh, God's going to be angry with me, because that's not who he is. But I want you to grasp hold of the example, because it's a practical one. It's like, yeah, we actually do that, don't we? I know none of us, if we were given keys to a brand new car, wouldn't jump in that car. I know that. Mate, I'd be in it so fast, their heads would spin. It's like, oh, right, she's gone. And I'd be going, as I'm already driving out the driveway, you coming, you better jump in real fast. so, you know, but it is a bit like that. So we've already been handed these gifts, and, you know, they're such beautiful gifts. They really are. They are so valuable and useful. It's not like I'm giving you I'm giving you a Lamborghini when you work on the farm and you need a tractor. That's, it's like, God's really practical. And he has a lot of common sense wrapped up in all who he is. So, he's handed these gifts, and they're the gifts of the Spirit. We not only are they, the fruits of the Spirit, where it's, love and kindness and patience. Don't we all love that one? We all love that gift of patience. It's like, I remember when I first had my encounter with God, it's like, give me patience, but I want it now. And God's going, radio, dangerous prayer to pray, because he will cause you to be very, very patient. And I have people say that to me all the time. They go, wow, you're so patient. And I go, oh, it's only by the grace of God. It has been the lessons that I've learnt over my lifetime. And some people get it really quickly. And you know what? Thank you that you do. Some of us are a little bit harder on learning that one. But it comes to having patience, comes from sitting in the peace of who God is as well. It's that rest. It's like, God, you've got this. You've got me. You'll work this all out. You'll make this all happen. I do my part. You'll do yours. And that's a promise. So, we have gifts of insight. Guys, we were naturally created to see. Let me just park there for a minute. What has happened is that we have been bewitched, or we have had a spell cast on us that we don't see. And often people go, oh, but I can't see in the Spirit. I can't hear in the Spirit. And there's a couple of factors for that. If you've got Freemasonry in your family line, there are vows and oaths that will stop you from seeing or hearing in the Spirit. They need to be removed, right? This is going back to where I was talking about our lineage, our generational line. These are the things that need to be moved. The other aspect of it is we can have a fear of the supernatural. And you know what? That's been perfectly played throughout all the movies, all the paranoia, all the creepy, scary movies. They were there by design. They were there to program you that you don't want to, I don't want to go into the supernatural. Oh no, I'm going to see all this horrible stuff. Oh, things are going to get me. So, that is a fear that needs to be broken as well. It needs to be dealt with. There's a gift of, and I'm going to read the gifts that are in Ephesians 4:8, is the gift of prophecy. Well, it's a declaration, it's a proclamation, it's insight, it's looking down the timelines, it's a future aspect that we should all be very, and I'm going to use the word prophetic, because that's what being connected in the Spirit is. That's the fruit of the Spirit, having insight. We can bring healing. Now, that example that I gave you in the shop, changing that atmosphere would have released a healing, because people laughed, right? Laughter is like medicine. It brings healing. It shifted what that other lady had dumped in the place. It threw it out the door. They would never have thought of it again. They'd be still laughing probably. So that brings a healing. But there's other types of healings as well. And we can go into the Spirit and bring healing to ourselves, but we can also bring healing to others. Now, let me bring a balance to that, guys. Often we find people that are wanting to heal everyone else, but they don't actually deal with their own stuff. That will only carry you for so long, because you are the ones that need to have living waters flowing through you, life flowing through you. So that will only last for so long. And often that becomes a healing with formulas rather than moving in the spirit with insight, the prophetic aspect, where you can see the blockages or down the family line, the lineages of what is the hindrance or the blockage or what's happened to a person, and then that needs to bring healing. You are then able to bring healing. So you bring healing to yourself and your family line, then you can bring healing to others as well. So there's also, and I know sometimes people, the gift of tongues, guys, we've talked about the gift of tongues or the light language. It's a very, very powerful tool. I could not do life without it. And it is a gift that God gives us, that we can move in a light language and we can get the interpretation of it, and we can move in understanding on what the Spirit is downloading to us. Now, I look at the light language like this, and we have done a call about this, is that it's like I have this direct line with God and no one else knows what he and I are talking about. It's like a secure line. And we're talking in the Spirit, and then in my mind, I'm asking for the interpretation, and then I get the interpretation. I get the insight. So it doesn't matter what situation or circumstances you are in. If you are not sure, go into tongues. Just speak in tongues and get the discernment. So, and that's the other gift, that intuition, that discernment is a God-given gift. And it's, people, it's actually, I'll do a talk next week about how our health and our gut health can affect that intuition and how that actually works. So, we've got discernment, and then we've got, the gift of faith. Okay. But I find as I've grown in knowing who I am in God and who God is to me, I don't need to actually go, I need a gift of faith here because, I'm not believing. That seems to have shifted because I just know that I know that I know. And guys, this is all, process. This is, God works layer upon layer, precept upon precept. It's all learnings every day. And every day I'm looking to learn about myself, learn about others, learn how the spirit realm works, learn how the enemy's working, so that we are always in prepared. It's not like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was going to happen. That doesn't have to be like that. We can already know what's around the corner. There's words of knowledge, so that you can look at a situation and just get a download of what's happening. And, I love all these gifts. I really do. I love the way that God gives them to us, and he's gifted them to us, and we just walk in that. That was one of the most, that was the most hunger, was the relationship with God, but all that he had for me. Well, all that he had for me, all that he has for you, is all wrapped up in these incredible gifts. They are equipping you for every minute of the day. And then there's the gift of miraculous powers. Okay, now this is a fun one. It is so beautiful to be used by God in a way that he flows through you, and he does it, guys. Come on, now let's get real. It's him flowing through you. We're just partnering with him is to release miracles and see people's lives changed, see them transformed, see them set free, see them blossom and, you know, start to have love and life around them. And, you know, the bondages and the weight of this world starts to shift, and, you know, they're just blossoming before you. And it's really so beautiful to partner with God. It brings me the most joy, but not only that, it brings the most tears, because I'm so grateful that, you know, I get to partner with God in that way. Now, I want to say this, guys, you're in control of this. You can dial up the things of the spirit, or you can dial them down. We'll go, well, what do you mean, Dot? I know that if I'm not in a good place, as far as I've got a stinking attitude, it's really hard to flow in the spirit. It's like, okay, Dot, let's just come back into realignment here, because it'll take me out. It'll go, yep, I'm in that wrong camp again. I better get back into the right camp. Okay, but it's as simple as that. It's like, oh, Dot, you know, change your attitude, get back where you need to be. And that's really important, that you don't think, oh my gosh, I've had a wrong thought, so now I'm going to be punished. We've got to stop doing that. It's like, you've had a wrong thought. Well, let's bring a correction. Let's redirect ourselves and get back on track. So all of these gifts equip us. So I'm going to give you, we're going to go here where, you know, like I've said, Jesus is the perfect example being given to us in right relationship with God and moving in the spirit. So here's some of the things that he did, you know, walking in the spirit in right relationship. And these are the miraculous ones, okay, guys? So he's brought transfiguration. He brought incredible change to the world. He brought transformation. He walked on water. He walked through walls. He floated in the air. He raised the dead. And guess what? He even changed the weather. So, guys, there's some goalposts for us. You know, and you got to practice them. Now, when people turn around and go, oh, you know, levitation's from the devil, hang on a minute. Jesus did it. Yeah, we got to bust some of that religious programming. Jesus changed the weather. Now, changing the weather is a lot of fun. Last year at our Living Free Festival, okay, we had some weather issues. And it was so much fun going in the spirit and changing that and seeing the response of the weather. So we picked August because it's a nice temperature. Well, the week before the Living Free Movement Festival, we had a ton of rain. We're like, okay, we can't have rain. That's it. No more rain. The rain stopped. But then it decided to become really, really hot. And we were like, we had winter gear because it's August. And then we're like, oh my gosh, where's our shorts? Where's our T-shirts? It got really hot. And we were all outside for those 3 days. So it was like, no, too hot. And then we just called cloud cover to bring it back to a really nice temperature. We had 2 minutes of rain. In other words, we got some drops, but they stopped. We had periodic moments of the sun in full blaze, but then the cloud cover came over. And we weren't washed out and we weren't sunned out as is like, oh, we're so hot, we're all dying. So it ended up being a really lovely time. It was a great time. It really was. And the sense of community and hearts joined together, the excitement that people, they were eager to learn, they were open, hearts were opened. Very few people went, oh, I don't agree with that. Oh, I don't like what she's wearing. Oh, what? I don't like this music. Like, it wasn't there. And, we had 1,000 people, guys, for our first festival, and it was fantastic. It was awesome. But there were things in the spirit that we had to do. We had to protect that space. We made sure that no entities could come in and try and bring disruption. There were some interesting people floating around, but, we made sure that we were on top of that. So this is the power that we have been given. And I've got to, guys, please, we've got to shift the programming that we have been under, and we've got to move that false religious teaching that keeps us powerless when we are so incredibly powerful. And it can be so simple. It can be shifting an atmosphere by just making people laugh. It can be a word of love and encouragement. I remember an incident. I was at the shops, and this lady, she had a special needs child, and she was a handful. And I say that with the utmost respect. But this little girl was, a lot of work. There was a lot of work set before this lady. And I was sitting there and I was watching her, and I turned around and I said to her, I said, you know what? I said, you are a great mum. And she just sat up and looked at me. I said, you are a really, really great mum. Or tears started running down her eyes, because I could see the weight, of her responsibility as a mum for this particular child. It was 24/7, 7 days a week. The child would never walk. She couldn't talk. Feeding her was, a problem. And, the tears rolled down her eyes. And I said, I just want to encourage you. You are a really great mum. And she was so grateful. And I wasn't looking for that. I just wanted to encourage her heart, because I could feel that her heart needed that. I don't think anybody had said that to her. And let's face it, don't we sometimes look at people that have special needs kids and go, oh yeah, what did you do wrong? Even if you don't say it, some of us think that. It's like, oh yeah. And now we're learning why we have more and more people that are in that position. Yes, that. So, and the foods that they feed us and all that sort of thing. So, it can be just a simple word of kindness, of just acknowledging. Some people they just need to know that they're being seen. That just even a simple compliment of, wow, you look really great today. And it's really interesting watching people's response to that, because if they don't have a good self-image, they squirm. They literally squirm. You can see it. And they don't know which way to look because they don't know how to handle a compliment. And again, this is part of our society where we've been programmed not to compliment. We've been programmed to get all insecure and go, oh, she looks better than me, you know, oh, she's thinner than me, or she drives a better car than me. Who cares? Because at the end of the day, it's not going with you. It's staying right here. So, you know, we really need, and please hear my heart here, we really need to learn how to encourage one another more, or in your community, even in your family, right? Like, speak to bring life into a person rather than to speak death. That's really the option here. And I have this motto: if I have got nothing nice to say, I'm not going to say anything. Okay. So it's, and, you know, really, there isn't any time that you can't say something nice, really. So, you know, even like when you get your coffee, if you're buying a coffee and it's a good coffee, let them know they make a great coffee. They've been there since 4 a.m. that morning, setting up that cafe and serving people. And it's, you know, now 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, let them know they make a great cup of coffee. Guys, it's really simple. When people run events, let them know how much you've enjoyed it. Because often when you run events, you know, the only people that have a voice, oh, well, you didn't do that right, or you should have done this, or you should have done that. Let's break that. Let's break that spirit by counteracting it with the aspect of bringing, you know, encouragement and words of life. That will break that spirit, guys. You don't have to go into warfare to do that. Counteract it, turn it around. And this is something else that God is really good at. He can take the circumstances that we have put ourselves in, let me just clarify that, and he will turn around and make it come out for good. So if that's part of who he is, isn't that what we should be too? We're going to turn this world around where, you know, negativity or the devil, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, guys, you know what I'm talking about, is trying to bring, you know, death and destruction. Let's bring life. Let's bring restoration. Let's bring transfiguration into that situation, into being part of our everyday life and living, just by what we carry, who we are, and the words that we say. You know, part of going into this is my take, is that I'm one of these that when things are happening, I just rise up and go, not on my watch. I'm like, nah, I'm not putting up with this. I am not going to let this happen, is part of my DNA. Okay, because we have to start decreeing and declaring the things that need to change. And we've talked about this a lot. And I hope you guys are practicing these things. I hope that you are taking these tools and putting them into practice and using them in your life so that you can start to grow in your gifts and abilities and your trust and faith in the things of the Spirit that God has given you. If you're just going, oh yeah, Dot said that, you know, we can speak to things. Oh, well, yep, that's good. That's great, isn't it? Yep. Oh, look, another issue coming my way. Oh, well, that's life. Please, please, guys, these conversations are to encourage you, to activate you, to really to just go, come on. You are more than what you are settling for. Not in the sense of, I need a bigger house and I need a better car and I need more money in my bank. It's who you are in the spirit. Tap into that limitlessness of the very nature and character of God, the very nature and character of the Spirit, the very nature and character of who Jesus represents. And the charge that he led, the transfiguration, that transformation. And don't go, well, we'll have, and I'm going to really go here, is that let's be crucified. Oh, I'm on my cross. I'm dying for Jesus. For goodness sake, stop with the religious rhetoric. That is absolute false teaching to the max. It is bondage. The reason that churches still have Jesus on the cross because they don't want you to stand in resurrection power. It keeps him on the cross and it keeps you bound to it. He superseded the cross. He rose. He transcended. He brought transfiguration. He changed the world so that you and I can be completely free from the bondages of this world, the rhetoric, the system, the programming. We don't have to be a part of it. We don't have to come under it. So let's grab that, process that, meditate on that. I am above all circumstances and situations, not because of what I've done, but because what God has done for us. It's time to walk in confidence and boldness, not in pride and arrogance, not in ego or an agenda, like strutting like a peacock. Yeah, here I come. I'm the woman of the hour. No, with humility and a heart of love. You know, 1 Corinthians 4:20 says, the kingdom of God is not in word, but in power. It comes in power. It's a spiritual force. It's the power that rescues people. It grabs hold of, when you grab hold of the spirit realm of your purpose and your position, that brings mind shifts right there and then. That breaks bondages right there and then. That is what we are designed to be, in that beautiful relationship with God that is unwavering. It is the constant. Our lives can be all over the place, but if we step into the constantness of God, of who he is and his heart towards you, his heart towards me. Some of you have never even asked God, how does he see you? And that is a very profound experience. I remember asking God that. I go, God, how do you see me? And then he started to tell me how he sees me. I tell you, I think I cried for hours because even that was just healing, absolute healing, because I was exchanging how I was told that I was, how, my parents saw me, or my mum particularly, and how she saw me, which was always negative. And then God started to tell me how he saw me. So there was an exchange. I'm like, well, I like the way you see me better than the way my mum sees me. I'm going with you. So there was healing that came with that. But I asked the question. Now, guys, you've been with me long enough to know that I'm always asking questions. I'm always asking God questions. So I want you to know that he has plenty of answers for your questions as well. I don't use up all the questions. They're there for you as well. Right? There's plenty of them to go around. He's got answers for everybody and everything, right? And this is where, again, some people, I don't know if I shared this. There was a lady that I met in a particular meeting, and for some reason, she came up to me and she said, "I'm God's favorite." And I was quite taken back by that. I was like, "What?" And I went, "Oh, okay." But I was quite shocked at this, presentation. And I looked at it and I went, "Oh, radio." And then a couple of days I was thinking about him going, "Oh, okay, she thinks she's God's favorite." Oh, okay. Well, you know what it did on the inside of me? It made me feel insignificant for a split second. And I went, "Oh, okay, I see what's going on here." Well, I met her again and she made a beeline for me and she goes, "I'm God's favorite." And I turned around to her and said, "Guess what? So am I." And she went, because I had to break what she was trying to do in the spirit. Okay. But it was good to process it because I stopped and thought, "Oh, okay, she's God's favorite. I'm not. Hang on a minute. That's just a flippin' lie." So you got to counteract these things. Don't walk away and go, "Oh, okay." Process it. Process how you felt with what someone is saying to you. Some people will come to you and they'll go, "Yeah, look, you do this and you do that." And a lot of religious leaders do this because they want to control you, but they'll start, telling you all the things you do wrong. "Oh, we're critiquing because we want to make you a better person." It's not their freaking job to make you a better person. It's God's. So, that, and I walked away and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, like I've really missed it. I'm really sorry, God. Like, oh, these religious leaders have said that I'm not this and I'm not that." And then I went, "Hang on a minute." I go, "God, is there truth in what they're saying? If there's truth in it, I will work with that. I will go, okay, this needs to change. How do we change it?" I walked away with that and I just processed it in the spirit, and God said, "None of that is you." I was like, oh, wow. And then I learned a very valuable lesson from this, guys. God spoke to me very clearly. He said, "Dot," he said, "I will never tell you what you're not. I will always tell you who you are." Because he works with what we're not. He brings change to that. He doesn't attack it. He doesn't say, "Oh, you're falling. Oh my gosh." We've got to move from that religious teaching that God is always there to hit us over the head, punish us, carry your cross. You're going through trials and tribulations. No, 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 no. That is not who God is. And you know what? When people come, "Oh yeah, God's just testing me," I go, "Yeah, good luck with that. See you later." I'm not having a bar of it. I am not having a bar of it because that is not who God is. People look for trials and tribulations because they are taught to believe that it is the hand of God. It is the hand of the devil. to keep you bowed down, to keep you restricted, to keep you in bondage. That is not who God is. So if your mindset goes to, oh, God's testing me, God's doing this, God's doing that, and it's all negative, please kick it out the door. This is why it's good to ask questions. Because if I respond to something in a way that's not normally me, then I ask the question, what's going on? Why do I feel like that? What, and it's, I'm going to tell you another thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks. And guys, I'll probably cry because God's doing something really beautiful, and he's always doing something really beautiful. So, I've been doing some work in a shop to help my daughter, and I had in a 2-week space of time, I had actually, it's been going on for a couple of months, but I was a bit slow on the uptake. So I've had a couple of women come up to me, go, and please hear my heart. I'm going to give you an example here of what's happening for me. That I had a lady come, she goes, gee, you're a really attractive lady. And I'm like, what? And I look at them as though they've got two heads. I do. I just go, oh, okay. And then I've learned to go, oh, okay, thank you. And I had one lady scream it out in a shopping center on the top of her voice. She'd go, oh my gosh, you are just absolutely beautiful. And I was like, what the heck? And everyone in the shopping center stopped and looked. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, well, thank you. But I was like, what the heck? That was left field. And then last couple of weeks, I had 3 different people, gentlemen, come up to me and go, wow, you are so stunning. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. And radio, moving on. Okay, you want to buy what we're selling? Like, and anyway, I went home and all of a sudden it hit me. It's going to hit me now. And I'm going, wow, this is really, and I made a joke out of it. I went, oh my gosh, all these people are telling me I'm beautiful. Like, what's wrong with them? And I look at people like they've got 2 heads. And then God fell on me and he said, I just went, oh my gosh, no one's ever told me that. Now, I'm not looking for compliments, guys. This was a healing that God orchestrated. And I went home to my daughter and I started bawling. And she's like, Mom, what's wrong? I said, you know what? I said, my entire life, I've never been told that I'm beautiful, not even from my husband for 21 years. And God started to do a healing and just start to go, you are a beautiful person. But I want it to be my heart that represents beauty, not my natural presentation. But it's nice to have both. But God started to do a real work of healing that I had honestly never, ever thought that I needed. I have a good self-image. I have, good self-esteem. I'm secure in who I am. I love my own skin. But it brought a healing, but also brought a realization that my entire life, no one had ever told me that I was beautiful. And God knows that I need that. He knew that I needed that, and he orchestrated it. I mean, a bit slow on the uptake. I should have kind of got that the first time someone screamed it out in the shopping center. But that was a tad overwhelming because everyone just stopped and looked at me, and I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Well, And I always put it down to, well, my light's shining really brightly today, isn't it? And that's a good thing too. So, guys, just one word can change somebody's life. It can open their heart to God, for God to do something really beautiful. So don't be withholding of goodness and kindness. Don't be withholding with, encouragement and love and exaltation and comfort, because they are all fruits of the Spirit. They are actually, I want to call them more than that. They are the very nature of the Spirit and of God. And we'll finish that there. Okay, so we've gone over time. Is there any questions on that while I just clean myself up? Go, Lisa, go.
Yeah, thank you, Dottie, for the chance. This morning we were discussing something, and it was a bit in line with what you pointed out this day, because I was talking about talents, right? And what you already pointed out is that the family has gifts generational long. And I was thinking about it, and then this it is called vanity or so. Vanity.
Yeah.
Right.
Pride.
Or pride. And I thought, where does talent end in pride, and when is it, let's say, good, and when it is not? Because
So,
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yep, I know exactly what you mean. So I touched on, we can be bold and confident, but not in pride and arrogance. Okay. So it's all about your heart's intent. So, and we pick up people's heart's intent, whether you realize it or not, you pick that up. Okay. So, if someone that's really egotistical walks into the room, everyone kind of pulls back because they're like, yep, here I am. I'm the man. I'm the bee's knees. Here we go. You should all be my friend. You all need to be my friend because I've got it. That's ego. That's arrogance. That's pride. So, vanity is that vanity is where we think more highly of ourselves than we should. We think we're better than we are. Okay. But we're talking that all those aspects talk to the soul realm. Okay. Because that's where our insecurities are. That's where our fears lie. They're in our mind, will, and emotions. They're not in the spirit realm. That's why when we connect to the one true spirit, all those things pretty well fall away, or we go through the process of them falling away. Okay. So it's all about the intent. And it's like you can move in the spirit with your intention, or you can move in the spirit with God's intention. Does that make sense? Because I've seen people, that want to be famous because they're moving in the spirit, and they've tapped into giftings, but their heart and intent is not right. They don't last. They get taken out. I'll tell you where they get taken out. The 3 G's: the gold, the glory, or if you're a male, it's the girls. If you're a female, it's the guys. The 3 G's. It takes you out because you are not in connection with, you're not moving in the purity of the Spirit of God and the heart of God. You're moving in the gifts because they're irrevocable. God doesn't take gifts away from us. But what often people will start out, doing it for God, but then, the fame and the glory and the girls or the guys goes to their head, and it takes them out. That's why so often pastors end up in adultery, because they think they're above everyone else and they can get away with it. You can't get away with anything. God sees everything. That's why the most important factor is everything you do is for the audience of one. God is my audience.
Nog even wat vragen.
Yeah? Does
So
that
can I
answer that?
Yeah, that was very good. Thank you. Very helpful. I just wanted to make a comment because about this light language, which I practice regularly now, since I know it, right? So then, as you talked about this global grief, I was doing this light language during the night, right? And I don't know what happened, but I started crying. I could not stop it anymore. So I thought immediately, perhaps this is the global grief that comes out now. Is this possible? Is it?
Yep, absolutely. So what happens when that happens, right, is that you are I'm going to use the word interceding. I don't like to use that word because I feel it's been very an abused word, but you're partnering with God to release healing onto the earth. Okay. But sometimes you need to ask the question, is it also stirred up some grief that you are carrying? Okay. Because sometimes, well, God's doing something out here, example, like I just shared with you, and all of a sudden, oh, guess what's coming up? This is something that you don't believe. I didn't believe that you're beautiful. Guys, hear my heart there. I don't think that I'm overly, stunning or whatever. I just work with what I've got. But there's that sense of, oh, there's healing that needs to happen there. So you're partnering with God. Let's use that word, partnering with God to release the healing onto the earth. Okay. And sometimes when I go on assignments, that's exactly what happens, Lisa. All of a sudden, I'll start moving in the emotion because it needs to be released. Okay. So you're feeling his heart. You're experiencing what it is in the spirit. I can minister to people and I'll start crying because I can feel the grief or the heartache that they've experienced. And I start to feel it too. Because we're empaths, we are connected in the spirit. Sometimes I can look at someone in the shop and I just feel the dread that they carry. So let me say this, guys, because you feel it, it doesn't mean that, you go up to them and go, oh gosh, I can feel the grief that you're carrying. Oh my gosh, and confront them, because that may not be the right time for them. But God, bring healing to that person. Please move, on their heart, bring transformation. Let them wake up to who you are and bring them into divine connection. Job done. Now God's free to move on their behalf because I've asked him to. Once we grasp hold of the partnership that we have with God while we're on the earth, you realize that we can bring change in so many different levels without anybody even knowing about it. So, and this is where sometimes I'll message someone and go, how you going? Because I know they're not going well, because God has shown me in the spirit. So I'll sit in the spirit over them so that they get the breakthrough that they need. And then they'll ring me up and go, oh, Dottie, this has happened. I go, yeah, I know. I saw that. I just want you to know that God's on the job. God's seen it. He's already moving on your behalf. He's going to bring the change that you're needing or you're looking for. Okay? It's really simple.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Thank
Yeah.